I'm Dr. Virgil Troy, and this is the Barleyman Gladiator Diet, and today I'm going to give you the recipe for what I believe is the perfect breakfast. That's pretty much what I've been eating for the last 7 days. I have not tired of it. It's delicious. It gives you everything you need to get your day off to a great start, and it's very, very simple, and you do not need any supplements. You do not need any powders. You do not need anything to go with it other than good, whole food, plant-based ingredients. So, first ingredient, oats. And you want to get the oats in as clean a form as possible. So I always get whole grain oats because I want as much of the fiber in there and I want the oat to be as intact as possible. So I have 1 cup of oats. This is in the morning breakfast. In addition to that, I also have 1/4 cup of steely cut oats. So again, this is one refinement process removed from the whole grain oats. So I'm actually getting the oat in even more of an intact format, and I add that as well. So those 2 ingredients, 1 cup of oats and 1/4 cup of steely cut oats, with that 1 cup being whole grain oats. Then to this mix, I add a tablespoon of flaxseed. And the benefits of flaxseed are numerous. They're good for weight loss, they're good for hypertension, and I'm reading a list here. They're good for treating diabetes, for sensitive skin, and not that it's an issue I've had before, but they're also good for breast pain as well. And I'm going to leave a link to my sources for this in the comment section below. So add a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. All right, so that's the next one. What I also add in, just for that little bit of extra fiber, because a lot of people are lacking fiber. Don't talk to me about my protein requirements when you're significantly lacking in fiber. That's my answer to the protein question, by the way. But I also add in a tablespoon of psyllium husks. So you can get that as Metamucil, not that I take Metamucil, but I get the psyllium husk rather than the psyllium powder. And the reason for doing that is that, 1, it gives you a little bit more fiber, but secondly, if you're just adding water to your breakfast, which is all I do, it doesn't make the water thicker, it just gives it more of a milky texture. So if you are having difficulty going from, say, adding milk or something like that, or if you've added like a plant-based milk but you want to go to water because you want to remove the manufacturing process that's involved in the manufacture of plant-based milks, then the psyllium husk in that format can actually just thicken it up a little bit and give you that same texture. So that's the reason why I do it. Extra fiber, and just for the actual the sensation of eating it when it's in your mouth and you're chewing it. In addition to that, I also add in 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. Ginger is perfect for reducing inflammation. It is excellent for fighting migraines. It's great for spicing up your DNA. There's a whole mass of benefits that can be gained from having powdered ginger. And again, I'm going to give you the reference in the videos that I've used to come up with this in the comments section below. So make sure that you add 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. Next, turmeric. So what I also add into the mix when I'm making this up, and it's all dry, so I make up about 10 of these, 8 to 10 of these every 8 to 10 days, and they last all week. What I also add in is 1/2 teaspoon of ground turmeric. So again, it's perfect for fighting inflammation, really good for pre-diabetes. It's great for speeding up recovery of injuries and post-surgery. And again, I'll give you a link to the references for this in the comments section below. So that basically is the base that I create. So I normally get some used takeaway pots, for when the family had the takeaway. I've been using the same ones for about 6 months, and then I just basically measure out, okay, here's a cup of whole grain oats goes in there, then it's 1/4 cup of steely cut oats, and then it's a tablespoon of freshly ground flaxseed, and then I put a tablespoon of psyllium husk, and then I get my little teaspoon out and I do a 1/2 teaspoon of the ginger and then a 1/2 teaspoon of the turmeric. I might experiment with some other spices, say for example cinnamon or something else, I'm not sure, but I'll do it once I've actually got some research on it. So those, once you actually have that as a base, None of the flavors overpowers the others. So it's not like you're getting this massive, taste of ginger all the way through it, or this sort of turmeric-y flavor or whatever. It's subtle enough that you can eat it by itself, but it's also subtle enough to be able to add different fruits to it. And that's the next perfect ingredient for your perfect breakfast: fruit. And what I'm going to do at the end of this, so in a few seconds time, I'm going to show you a raft of versions of this that I've made over the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks. So just basically click stop when you've had enough watching it, but I'm just going to show you so you can see the variety and the variation. Sometimes I'll have the same thing day in, day out. Other times I'll spice it up. Sometimes, I bought enough grapes or whatever to last a few days and then I'll run out, so I add something else. So you can do this with 1 piece of fruit, with 2 pieces of fruit, with 3 pieces of fruit. I've even done it with 5 pieces of fruit. And I end up with a really, really big bowl of breakfast cereal with fresh fruit in it. And that pretty much keeps me full until about 11 o'clock. So I'll eat it at around 7. And then that will take me right the way through to 11, have something to eat then if I'm feeling hungry, especially if I've been moving around a lot. And then I'll have my lunch and then, a snack afterwards and then dinner. So that's the perfect breakfast. I always add water, and I normally wash it down with a couple of cups of black coffee because I know that there are some pieces of evidence that say that maybe you shouldn't have coffee, but I've always had coffee, and I've looked at the research that says that the benefits can outweigh the negatives of having coffee, so I have coffee. If you don't have coffee, then don't have coffee. So I'm not recommending having coffee, but I'm saying that for me, that's part of my perfect breakfast. But you can have that delicious cereal bowl every single day as it is. You'll get from that. So just what I mentioned here. Here we go. This is this morning. I had a banana, I had mandarins, and I had kiwi fruit, which you would expect being a New Zealander living in New Zealand, in addition to the Steely cut oats and then the whole grain oats. So that basically yields about 650 calories, which is about a third of what I eat during the day. It gives me 117 grams of carbohydrate, only 8 grams of fat, and that's where the bulk of my fat for the entire day comes from, is from eating the oats. 19 grams of protein, 21 grams of fiber, which I believe that the dietary recommendations are around a minimum of 25 grams. So I'm pretty much getting that just in my breakfast. I normally have around maybe 60 to 70 to 80 grams of fiber a day. So there's no problems with my fiber. And sugar, 25 grams of sugar, but that all comes from fruit. So everything I need in that fruit to digest it, stop the insulin spikes and causing headaches and highs and lows, etc. It's all in the fruit. So nothing wrong with sugar if it comes out of the fruit and it's in a whole fruit format rather than a dried fruit. Anyway, that's another story. So there's the perfect breakfast. I'm now going to show you a whole heap of images of my perfect breakfast, and I'll catch up with you again tomorrow.